Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unique Not Different with me, Shamla. So yesterday we heard the budget reading, and today I have Mr. Prakash Ramiakhan, who is a financial consultant, and I would say my resident financial expert to hear talking about the budget 2026, fiscal year 2026, and its impact, as Natalie would said on the vulnerable. So, good morning, Mr. Ramnakan. How are you doing?
Good morning, Shamla, and good morning to your viewers and listeners. And congratulations on the work that you have been doing as an advocate for the vulnerable and differently abled.
Thank you so much. So, in your opinion, does the 2026 budget signal a real shift towards equity for persons with disability and even vulnerable groups in society?
Well, I think when you look at the budget, it adopted a more broad-based approach and
Mhm.
not specifically targeting any specific group or groups within the society. And I think the budget would have outlined certain measures that would also incorporate the vulnerable or the differently abled. And there would be some benefits for this particular sector of the population as well. And if I may highlight a few of them,
Sure.
one that the minister mentioned was the inclusive housing in Edinburgh 500
Mhm.
that will serve people with disabilities. Then there's the dedicated exam concession for special needs students. There are 30 partner schools that will be strengthened with an additional $11 million. And finally, with UNICEF universal screening, that will be done for children between the age of 4 to 6 to detect early learning challenges. So I think those are some of the specifics for the vulnerable. In addition to that, they'll benefit from the other measures, like lower gas prices,
Mhm.
salary increases, strengthening of the NIB. And I'm sure the NIB with all the different grants, because some of the members of the vulnerable society would have been exposed to certain work injuries that forced them to retire with yes, physical injuries. And as a result, they are now beneficiaries of the NIB. So strengthening the NIB would secure long-term funding for all its beneficiaries, including the vulnerable group. So therefore, they're going to be captured in that as well.
What key opportunities you think were missed that would not only have immediate impact but long-term impact, and that could be more specific in terms of like sustainable opportunities like employment, education, because they did mention education for learning disabilities, but the disabilities are broad-based, right? So
Yeah.
what do you think are some opportunities that were missed that would particularly impact persons with disability?
Okay. Well, with respect to education, the minister did speak about, as I mentioned earlier, um, early learning challenges.
Yes.
And that is important to ensure that students are identified early and the appropriate teaching environment is in place to assist them to fully develop. But in terms of what is missing, and it has been missing for as long as we can remember, is the education in the broader society to understand and to accept that the vulnerable group, not different as your title says, they're just unique, and embrace them and give them the opportunity to work alongside, to play alongside, to study alongside everyone else. So I think greater education, and I'm not sure if the budget is the right tool to make that happen. But I'm certain that if it's mentioned in the budget, it can create the awareness and build the sensitivity and probably deepen the engagement. So I think more collaboration between the vulnerable group and the budget needs to take place.
I think I mentioned this last year as well. nothing works in silos, and the budget is just a broad base in terms of allocation of funds, right? And guess like a stipulation. So in terms of like, yes, but in crafting the budget, right? It is like, okay, gateway to show, okay, in this initiative of initiative A, we could be more inclusive, right? What changes would you suggest to make future budget more inclusive and impactful for marginalized community?
All right. What well, firstly, I think the minister presented a very good budget for the challenges that we have been facing and the challenges that are ahead of us. I
Mhm.
think this budget, to a very large measure, will help us to navigate through that turbulent times with less difficulty. So I congratulate him on being aware of it. And as the Prime Minister said, it's going to be a people-focused budget. So the
Mhm.
sensitivities are there. With respect to getting the budget to address more of the needs of the vulnerable group, I think that has to happen at the level of the engagement between the budget department, the minister, and the representatives of the vulnerable group. And I said, you're an advocate. Perhaps the group can reach out to the budget department and also to the minister for greater involvement in the budget preparation. Because if someone like myself, who is not deeply engaged in the vulnerable group like you, I would not be aware of the day-to-day issues. They may appear simple to most of us, but may be challenges that are deeper than we think for the vulnerable. And therefore, you all will be in a better position to represent the interests of the group and articulate what are the needs.
Mhm.
And I think from what I heard in the last budget and what the Prime Minister has been saying, I think they're going to be receptive to to your recommendations.
I and just to chime in here, and I think also when providing recommendation, we have to be pragmatic as well. Thinking from the business side, because as you mentioned, we have to think about the economic climate, and in order for us to gain equity, we also have to be able to sustain that the equity in terms of financing. So the economy in general needs to be developed, and have a great economy for everybody to benefit. Yeah?
Yes, I agree. You have to look at the broad-based economy.
Yes.
Because when the tide rises, all boats
Yes.
rise as well. So once we fix the economy, I think there should be adequate resources or reasonable amount of resources to
Mhm.
address the needs of all sectors. With limited resources, the challenges are going to be difficult because you have loud voices from all the different sectors competing for the limited resources. And I think the minister had done an excellent job in balancing the needs of everyone in the society. They have embarked on certain promises, and you
Mhm.
can see the budget did address those promises. For example, the wage negotiation, prioritizing people, looking at the low income, looking at housing. Those issues were articulated in the campaign and they were addressed in the budget. So I think you have an opportunity now to deal with a minister who is more receptive to the needs of the constituents.
And they also, just to chime in quickly, they also spoke about AI. And I think AI in this environment could significantly, technology advancement could significantly help into persons with disability in gaining, I guess, education and employment and be able to contribute to society in a meaningful way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent perspective because with AI,
Mhm.
you don't need to be in any specific work environment in
Mhm.
order for you to deliver. You can work from home, you can go
Mhm.
to the office, it doesn't matter where. So therefore, the physical amenities that you expect outside of their home. If they're not there, it has no impact on your ability to function if you choose to work from home. In addition to that, the minister spoke about improving the technology when you're interfacing with the government, which means a lot of people can now operate uh, from home when transacting with government, receiving payments, making payments.
Yeah.
You can do it from your mobile, you can do it from your computer. That's going to be easy. And I think there is an opportunity there for everyone, and in particular, the differently abled who are less able to take opportunities outside in work that demands, more physical activities. They can engage in IT training, especially in that AI space. So it's a space, and perhaps you can use this to leverage your position with the minister to attract some more funding
Yeah.
or differently able with respect to certain programs, not broad-based, but certain programs.
Yeah, and you definitely made a good point where you mentioned, where persons are restricted, and restriction comes from, not only having a disability, but physical restrictions like transportation, and that actually is something that we tapped into a while ago, where infrastructure development, and so on would help independence and sustainment. But in closing, right, how would you close? Or if I just talk in general, in terms of balancing uh, discipline with social investment to ensure the vulnerable and disabled citizens aren't left behind.
Well, I think we have a history
Mhm.
of a very large transfer subsidy allocation. And I think with respect to the budget, the government will continue to ensure that no one is left behind, and the allocation for transfers, not specifically subsidy, but for transfers, I think that's going to be in place, and it's important for the vulnerable group to ensure that they are well captured. I think we have an opportunity here that there is a minister who has demonstrated that he's prepared to listen to the population. And I think the vulnerable group, should make a really strong position towards the minister that you're looking at the infrastructure. And I think that is going to come. You're looking at the infrastructure to move the differently able from home to work, to
Yeah.
medical institutions, educational institutions, to ensure the infrastructure at those places are well maintained so that the differently able can move with convenience. You also have a representative in the upper house, again, to represent your interests and articulate your position, because you are in the best position to tell us what are the needs of the vulnerable group. Those outside the group would not understand as much as you do. So I think you can do so, and you are, as I said, a very strong advocate for your group.
Mhm.
Write the minister, get an audience, and start the process as soon as the budget debate is over. You don't need to wait for the next budget.
True.
You,
That's
you can
true.
start.
Yeah.
You can start very early, because you cannot wait, for the grass to grow and then feed a
Yeah.
cow, right?
True. That's
You've
true.
got to
You
have
can't, you can't put the horse before the cat.
right. So you've got to put measures in place to ensure that your group, yes, gets the resources that they need for the development that they deserve, so that they can be meaningful contributors to society.
Yeah.
And
So,
you all, I
mhm,
think you want to do more.
yeah,
So you need
definitely,
the assistance to do more. And I think, yes, you should make that position very clear.
Mr. Ramakan. It's always a pleasure. And I think this was a very fruitful conversation, showing the holistic perspective of the budget, the impact of the budget, and what could be done in terms of recommendation to put the budget into, full use and engagement. engagement and in terms of policy perspective. So thank you so much. And let's see what's going to happen in the upcoming years as they roll out other budgets and also in terms of implementing and allocating the funds into the different initiatives. So thank you again so much. It's always a pleasure.
You're welcome. Great to chat with you.
As always. Guys, with that being said, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to this week's segment of Unique That Different. As I always say, be good, do good. Bye, everyone.